friends, it's Deb. I am doing my intro for the Enjoy Your Eyeshadows project pan. This is round 2. I created this project last year just as a way to be able to participate in some type of an eyeshadow project without committing to a pan that palette, a project level up, and no pan left behind, pan those eyeshadows. There's just a plethora of projects out there that are just a little bit too much for me. So I needed a project where I could use my eyeshadows, show you what I'm using, but have it be completely stress-free and not have the pressure to hit pans or finish things or whatever. A year-long project starts in January whenever you get your intro up, and it ends in December whenever you do your finale. Monthly updates, I do mine around the 4th of the month, but there's no set date, just whenever you want. And if you feel like you don't have enough to speak about one month, skip an update, right? There are no rules. The only thing that I do ask is that each update that you do, after you talk about everything that you used, you can show pictures of your looks if you want, but I just want to know what your peak was and what your pit was. What was your favorite look, your favorite formula, your favorite shadow, your favorite palette, like your favorite eyeliner? Just what part of your eye makeup was your favorite for that update, and what was your least favorite? Mine this time were pretty, I feel like when I made my list today, that mine were pretty cut and dry what my peak and my pit would be. But sometimes I've sat down and just had to pick like my least favorite of great palettes, just so I had a pit, if that makes sense. So not this time. This time I have an actual pit. Okay, my palettes are listed on the sheet that I'm tracking this year. Oh, and my goal for this year is just to use as many of my palettes as I can. I did a pretty decent declutter. I got rid of 30% of my palettes. And at the end of this year, if there are palettes that I still have not touched, I need to think about why I'm keeping them. So this year, I just want to pull out things, check formulas, check brands, just see how things are going, I guess, and not just get stuck in the same ruts using the same things over and over again. Okay, so like I said, mine are listed in alphabetical order. I do have a single date of when I use these, and that's all I needed. I just needed one date marked when this was used during this time frame, but I'm not tracking uses unless it's in a specific project. Excuse you, Bentley. So the first one that I used happens to be what was my focus palette last year. So a group of women chose the ABH Norvina palette to be their pan that palette last year. Jalen finished her whole palette. What? When I first pulled this in, I was like, oh, purple, my favorite color, my favorite eyeshadow. I love the ABH formula. Like, this is great. This will be perfect. But this isn't a purple palette. When you really get in here, there is a matte purple called Soul, a shimmery purple called Celestial, and then a brownish purple up here called Drama. That's it. Those are the only purples in this entire palette. So I did obviously use the base shadow a lot. I did hit pan and Drama, but the rest of them, honestly, I just wasn't feeling it. And I feel really bad about that, but like, I guess you know what? It is what it is. So this was my focus palette for last year, and she needs a vacation. My pan that palette that I chose for this year, my intro went up on the 1st, if you haven't seen that. I chose the ABH Soft Glam 2. The theme this year is, it's either child-sized, kid-sized, fun-sized, or bite-sized. Whatever one I put in my thumbnail is not correct. Anyway, we were to pick a smaller palette, and this one, when I saw it, I was like, ooh. I like the color story, but I also like that it has the cream shade. Obviously, that's something I use every day. I use a black every single day, and I figured the mattes would be easy to incorporate into other looks. And the two shimmers, I will swatch those for you, are just, I don't know. I think Dreamer, the lighter of the two, will be really easy to use with pretty much any look. And then there's a brown. Can you see the lighter one right there? Yeah, so my goal is to hit pan in every shade this year, and I'm hopeful. We'll see. And I'm realizing I think there's something wrong with my lighting. I don't love... I'm not sure how much that changed it. Can you see that shade a little bit better? No? Okay, good. Moving on. Okay, so next I used the Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This was in my Throwback 30 project, the big palette. And I ended up decluttering that because these 16 shades are also in that palette. And the shades that I was drawn to in that palette are all in here. So I would rather store this than the giant palette. And, sorry, I'm really drawn to Hex and Voodoo, this purple right here and the black. And I ended up getting my uses, and I really like Beauty Bay's formula. So yeah, this was fun to use. I liked it. The BH Lost in Los Angeles palette, I use this almost every single day for the matte white. This is the best matte white that I have in my collection. And I have been on a purchasing spree trying to find one that even compares slightly. No go. I wear a matte white on my inner corner every single day, and this one here is just, it's pretty good. The next palette I used, well, the next two I used together on Christmas Eve. I wanted to do a red and green look. So I watched some YouTube videos, and the theme that I saw most was doing red on the top lid, green on the lower lid. Perfect. I have the BH Sweet Shop palettes, the cherry on top and the pistachio. So I used the cherry on top as my red, obviously. And this palette on me came off straight pink. And I was a little bit horrified, I'm not gonna lie. I had no intentions of going to Christmas pink and green, but that's kind of what happened. Even with this shade called Sprinkles, this really dark one here, and then this one up here is called Black Cherry. It's a black based red shimmer. Even those ended up fading out into like a really weird odd pink. And red eyeshadow on me, I end up looking like I have rabies. It's not a cute look. I feel like the only thing that made me not hate the look was the fact that I had beautiful green shadows on my lower lash line. The pistachio palette is 10 out of 10. I love the formula. I love the shades in here. I am so close to pan in a couple of them, so that's exciting. But yeah, if I didn't want to keep this collection together, I would pass this one on. But there's something so satisfying about having these. I don't have the waffle cone, the neutral one, but I have the other 5, and I can't separate them. The cherry on top was not good at all. I mean, the formula is great, but it's pink. Like, I wanted red, and then the pistachio was bomb. Okay, let's move on. Next on my list is what I have on my lids today. This is the first time I have dipped into this palette, and it was lovely. The Glamlight Icy palette, the blue raspberry one. These shades in here, yep, beautiful. And this formula is so good. So freaking good. After I had the blue on, I wanted to do something just a little bit extra. So I pulled out these 3 singles and I put the lightest one just on the inner corner and kind of just a little bit up into the crease. This one here is over most of my lid, and this one is just a little bit on the outer corner, kind of like overlapping the black with this blue. So I will swatch these for you. The lightest shade is right here, and that is from Glaminatrix. It's called Fairy Lights. It is freaking delicious. The next one in the middle is from Looksy, and it's called Atlantis. And this one blew my mind. Oh my, it's blue and it blew my mind. I'm such a
Stop it.
Okay. Anyway,
Get some help.
freaking stunning. And this one was so soft and nice to work with. And the darker one was actually the most difficult of the 3 to work with. And this is from Terra Moons in, is it Nightfall? In Nightfall. And this one, I don't know if it's drying out or what it's doing, but this one was just a little bit more difficult to work with. And honestly, the least impactful of the 3, but still a great addition to my look today. Really liked it. The next one on my list, I used on Christmas Day. Oh, I filmed on Christmas. I was trying to think of what I did that day. I used, for the first time ever, the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I have really slept on this one. I knew that it would be beautiful and lovely, and I used the like berry tones in here, and this was so lovely, and just, I loved using this. The formula was great, and this is one that I will get more use out of this year. It's lovely. The next one on my list is the Kaleidos and Angelica Nyqvist, the Club Nebula palette. I hit pan in the navy and the shimmery blue this time in the last look that I did on the 11th of December. And oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was talking to Danny on the phone. We were FaceTiming doing our makeup. And I said, holy crap, I hit pan, like freaked out. And then I went to put the shimmer on and holy crap, I hit pan again. It's just such an exciting thing. It was not expected. But this palette, you know, it ranks in my top 3 of all time, and that'll get more use this year. Another one, this ranked number 1 in my entire collection, is the Menagerie Flight Club palette. I didn't even write down specific dates for this one. I just wrote many. I mean, that's the truth. And for how often I use this palette, to only have 1 pan in it completely blows my mind, but we're still at 1 pan. And this is just, these are the colors of my soul. Outlined, of course, with the dirty, ugly, nasty chartreuse eyeliner. Yes. Yes, I'll be your daddy. Okay. And the next 2 I used in December, not at the same time. On December 11th, I dipped into the Odin's Eye Angelica Nyqvist, did 2 more palettes in the Hella collection. These are the Halloween, which I think is freaking brilliant. This one is called Little Ghost, and I dipped into here for 1 shade. I used this yellow, which, excuse me, so freaking pretty. But I did a, what color of look did I do? Did I do blue or purple, or, oh, I have some red in there too. I love that for me. Can you see my swatch right there in one of the most awkward places? Anyway, I did a little tiny bit of yellow liner like I do right down here, and then I just topped it with this, and it, love it. But I obviously need to get more uses on that, and that is in my happy hour project, so that will happen soon. I also finally dipped into the Trick or Treat palette, and when I was doing my red and green look for Christmas, I dipped in here for this green here, and oh, so freaking pretty. I wanted something that was just like Christmas green. And you know what I mean. Like there's olive green, there's like chartreuse green, there's different things, but like I wanted like just, sorry, Christmas green, and I got it, and that was beautiful. So those will, like I said, get more use in my happy hour project. Okay, moving on. In Throwback 30, I also had from Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson the Tiny Marvels palette. I had not used this until I brought it into that project, and this is so lovely. I have this in that project to do 12 looks with, and I think I'm up to like 5 or 6, and I am so drawn to these like grungy nude shades. This shade on the side right here is one of my favorites in the palette. I love these shades. I like that shade. Like this palette is just, we almost had a man down. This palette is just beautiful, and it's fun to work with, and I'm so happy to have it. And R.I.P. to Mel, right? So that's a beautiful palette. And last but not least, for palettes in here, I have my Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. This is the first palette, the first high-end palette that I ever owned. I got it in a man, like a Wantables box or something like that back in 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. It was in the flat tin packaging, and I panned almost an entire one, and then I bought another one, and I used a ton of that one, and then I had to finally let that one go, and then I got this one. So this is my third. Is that right? Anyway, this palette is just one that, like, this shade here, I love in my brows, even though my hair is black and this is brown. Like if I'm going to use a powder in my brows, I like this shade a lot. This shade Heaven is just perfect for the brow bone. These transition shades are so easy to use. Like every once in a while, it's just that no-brainer palette. You know what I mean? There's that dark brown that I use in my brows. Can you see? Where did I even swatch the light one? She's gone. But yeah, so that palette will make an appearance every now and then. And then last but not least, for real, I just have this little quad of singles that I have, and I got tired of pulling out different palettes for different things that I needed, but this will take a break now because I have the neutral shades and the black in my Pan That palette for this year, and I would rather just pull out the Lost in Los Angeles palette for the white. So this palette is going away for a while, but this sat out here and got used pretty much every day. Okay, my peak and my pit. Let's do good news first. We should start off the year with good news. When I was going through all of my palettes, like I didn't want to pick something that is an obvious favorite. My Club Nebula, my Menagerie Flight Club, like those already got featured as my favorites in my collection video. So I wanted to give it to something that I had not used before. And the palette that I used today blew my mind, and I freaking love it. It's the Glamlight Blue Icy palette. I am obsessed with this palette. Just the way that it blended, and just the way that the shades went on, and the way that the shimmers went on over it. Just everything about this was so pretty. And I got this on their Black Friday sale. I swear it was like $6 or something. The same price of a coffee. Got me years of happiness. And my pit. Do you have any guesses what my pit will be based on everything that I said? I think it's pretty obvious if you just think of like what I was like wah wah about. Yeah, the BH cherry on top. Just the formula's nice, but like I wanted this to be red, and BH usually has a really punchy, impactful color story, and these are, but not in the colors I wanted them to be. So womp womp. This is my pit this time. My goals for next month will be to just continue getting uses on palettes. Of course, some are in projects, so those will get uses automatically, but I want to continue to filter in palettes that I have not used yet. And there are going to be projects coming up, prompt-based ones, where for specific prompts, I will roll in an eyeshadow palette, but maybe only just for one look. So instead of for so many uses, I will just say however many looks, just as an added way to help me filter through and get through some more of these in my collection. And it helps me use things. It gives me stuff to talk about in this project. It gives prompts done in other projects. Like, I just think it makes the most sense for me. So that is what I'm going to do. For this update, I used 13 different palettes. 13. Like, that's pretty dang good. I'm not mad at that at all. I will stop rambling. Did you sign up for eyeshadow projects this year? If not, you are more than welcome to join me in this one. I have the thumbnail on my Instagram, which is Deb, DEB _B_12. Please follow me there, and you can just grab the thumbnail and use it. Just tag me. Let me know that you're doing this project so I can cheer you on. And yeah, there is there is no stress. Okay, thank you so much for giving me some of your time. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you're having a really good day or night, and I love you. Do I love you more than eyeshadow? All right, fine, probably. Don't tell anyone. Okay, bye. I wear a